Welcome, everybody. I'm Dr. Becky Beaton, and I am here with Amy Bryant today. She is a psychotherapist, normally based in Decatur, but right now during COVID-19, she's the entire state of Georgia, or available in the entire state of Georgia. I'm really excited to have here though, because I've known Amy for well over a decade,
Mhm.
and she constantly surprises me with her creative mind and what she comes up with in her groups and working with moms and parents and kids. But the main reason we're here today is to talk about her work with kids, because I know I've been hearing from a lot of you that you are finding it difficult to work with kids via telemental health during COVID-19. And so I wanted to ask Amy some questions about how she is navigating these unprecedented times and working with kids in a way that's engaging. So, Amy, did I miss anything? Is there anything else that I should tell our viewers about
No,
your practice?
no, thank you. I'm so excited to be talking with you today. And this is such a needed topic
Yes.
because everybody's struggling, from therapists
Mm-hmm.
to parents to kids. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so really figuring out what it is we can do to support them in this online platform is any information we can get, I think is helpful.
Yes. So thank you so much for taking your valuable time and being here with us today. So my first question for you is, tell us some tricks. What are you doing to keep kids engaged with a screen?
Yes. So one of the primary things to keep in mind is that our own regulation, physical and emotional regulation, is going to have a direct impact on them. So if we're having a hard time and they're having a hard time, it can be helpful just to own it and be like, I noticed that like my heart is beating fast, or I'm having a hard time sitting still. And to just take a moment right there with them and be honest and just take a deep breath and exhale slowly. And you're not only modeling that skill for them, but you're getting calm in your own body and mind so that then they can co regulate with you, albeit through a screen, and have that experience of calming as well. So, the first thing I always notice for myself when my client is getting a little scattered or distracted is, what's going on in my body? Do I
Mm-hmm.
need to regulate and calm? Am I getting stressed out?
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not me, then I go, okay, I need to get creative.
Okay, so I mean, that's fabulous. I think it's so important. And I know you teach that skill to your parents as well.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. We're so aligned. Whatever's going on in our brain is being read by other people, children and adults alike. And so just
Mm-hmm.
being mindful of that piece is going to make a huge impact.
Yes, I know
And
that's one of my favorite things about polyvagal theory is that our nervous system does not operate in a vacuum, that it
absolutely.
interdependent with the people around us. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Love
Mm-hmm.
seeing images.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So, in addition to working with ourselves, it's important to know our clients. So, what do they like? What gets their interest? I really like to start my sessions with asking my clients, how did your strengths show up this past week? Because I really want them to start there so that we can keep growing those strengths. And kids love to like take a moment and be like, oh, right. I'm really good at making my family laugh. And
Oh, that's
so
so
then,
nice.
right? And that
Mm-hmm.
feels good and it helps them get more calm in their body as they begin to think of these things they're good at.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and and then when they begin to talk about stressors, we can go back to those things that are a strength that does come more easily and naturally, especially if you're working on specific things with them. Um, Going back to those strengths makes them feel less overwhelmed. And then using their interests to get really creative. So for my preteens and teens and sometimes younger kids too, we talk a lot about music. We might
Oh,
yeah, we might put playlists together or we might listen to a song together, and then it gives them an opportunity to tell me what they want me to know.
Oh,
right?
that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Music is tends to be the thing that they like most.
Mhm.
So we'll listen to a song. You might need to get permission if there's some inappropriate words.
Mhm.
In my sessions, it's what goes on in session stays in session.
Yeah.
So we just play it, and it's not really
Mhm.
up on my radar. And then they're able
Mhm.
to tell me like what really resonates with them. And
Mm.
sometimes it's something really strong and good, and sometimes it's something that's hard for them to talk about. But it opens them up to having this experience. Um,
Oh, did you find you did that much in during live sessions as well? Or is this something you've done more since we've been doing telemental health?
we did it some in live sessions. A lot of times I would have teens bring in a whole playlist
Mhm.
because it gave them time to kind of process, almost like a journaling experience.
Mhm.
But really getting them engaged in the session. Music has this quality of bringing us back into our bodies and keeping us engaged.
Yeah.
It's like a support system when you're trying to connect through the computer.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, tell us more.
Yeah, okay. So sometimes I use video clips. There's lots
Okay.
of really great, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And I think this is so important. The work can be taxing for us as therapists a lot of time.
Mhm.
We're missing out so much. And so we don't have to recreate the wheel. We can get video clips off YouTube to include. So I've used things like the empathy video from Brene Brown, some movement videos that are on there, and some other things like that. So researching, just looking quickly on YouTube,
Okay.
what looking for and what age group, and they're on there. So
Oh,
those
seriously, I didn't realize you can define the age group.
you can, and I do like
Okay.
kids, preteens, teenagers.
Mhm.
And of course you have to watch the whole thing, but I usually keep it kind of short, 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes I will recreate the wheel and create my own little video, especially if it's a new client. I'll create a short little video to introduce myself. With regular clients, um, if you're having a hard time getting engaged, I
Yeah.
might tell them what they can expect that's the same. We are still going to play. We are still going to talk. I'm still going to listen. We're going to laugh. You might even see my room, right? Because
Mhm.
and they want to see your room. They want you to see their room.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how fun it's been for kids to go get something that's super meaningful for them and to just bring it to the session.
Oh, that's great.
And so it might
Yeah.
be, who did you bring to support you today? Or do one of your animals or figurines want to tell me something about you?
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so having their toys and animals speak for them,
Mhm.
for some kids really gives them a voice that doesn't always feel safe when there's a computer between us.
Oh, that's great. Now, when you said, I'm going to back up for a second.
Okay.
When you said you make a video clip to introduce yourself, is that to send them ahead of time or is that
Yeah.
how you do that? How
Yeah.
creative is that? I love that.
Yes, I email it to the parents so that they can watch it or just share it with the kids.
Mhm.
Teens, I just text it to them if they've given me permission to text them. I just
Mhm.
text them because that's what they want.
Yeah.
The video is also fun because teens and tweens oftentimes will want to send you a video in return.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
And it's really fun because it helps to get them engaged and get used to that sort of screen between.
How creative. I just got chills actually. I just think that's a fabulous idea. So they're already primed to know that this is the format we're going to interact in.
And this is how it works, and it can feel good.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be stiff and like, oh, what are we going to do today? You know, although it might feel like that. And then again, you just speak to it like,
Uh-huh.
is it feeling kind of awkward? Because we're not used to engaging like this.
Mhm.
And just really speaking to that it's modeling for them ownership. This is how I own what's going on for me and
Mhm.
curiosity. How is it for you?
Yeah.
Um,
I know so I have 3 step teenagers now,
yeah.
and I know, my s one of my stepdaughters is in therapy, and when I said, "We're gonna do telemental health with your with your therapist now?" And she's like, "Oh, I don't want to see myself on a screen." And as soon as I told her that she could turn that feature off, she was like, "Okay, I'm in."
Yes,
Hmm.
absolutely. I had one of my clients sent me a video of themselves and they didn't want their face, so they put like the bear, you know how you can put like a face here?
Oh yes, with
You might
like,
be able to do it here, I can't remember, but
uh-huh.
and so they sent me that with the, you know, like a face covering their face, and you could just tell that they thought it was so funny.
Oh, that's great.
Mhm.
That's really great.
And so really getting playful in them, I lean into what their interests are. I try to pay attention to body language. It's a little
Hmm.
harder to notice through a screen because sometimes you can see them, sometimes you see their ceiling, you know.
Yeah, sometimes they're not so good about putting it in the right place. Yeah.
Right. And then I go with what shows up. So I'll have teenage clients especially who will pretend like the internet is going out.
Seriously?
Oh yeah,
Because they want to get out of it?
because they want to know if I'm in the know, and maybe they want to know if they can get out of it.
Oh, so it's a little
So
bit of a test.
a little bit of a test, and so you kind of know your client and you get
Hmm.
curious and you can speak to it. Sometimes I'll go, "Oh no, is it my internet?" And I'll believe them at first, of course. And then
Hmm.
I'll say, "I'm wondering if for the older kids usually,
Uh-huh.
wondering if you're feeling like you're just done with session today," and just invite them to speak to it.
Uh-huh.
The younger kids, I might be like, "Oh no, I can't hear you. Where are you going?" And play along with it to make them
Okay.
and
Uh-huh.
kind of re-engage them.
Okay.
Um,
Tell me some more things for younger kids. What are you
okay.
doing with them?
So one of the things I really like is helping them get in touch with their body. So there's some great books. Listening to My Body is a good one.
Uh-huh.
And then we'll talk about, you know, tell me 5 things you see in your room. And so
Okay.
they'll name 5 things. I see an animal and a poster and a light and then tell me 4 things you can hear.
Hmm.
I hear my brother in the other room and the birds outside. And I hear my mom typing on the computer and,
Hmm.
and they'll name, and
Hmm.
then 3 things you can feel. And so they'll walk around. Usually they'll walk around with their screen and touch things. And then 2 things you can smell and 1 thing you can taste.
Hmm.
And
That's a
then
great mindfulness exercise. Yeah.
yes.
Hmm.
And it helps them just to come right back to themselves, and back into the session
And the here and now.
in the
Hmm.
here and now.
Hmm.
So I have some kids who have more art materials than others. If
Hmm.
they like art and they're not anxious about doing art,
Hmm.
then we'll do an activity like if they have clay or markers or something, make or um, draw an animal or a plant, and then I'll have them tell me who takes care of this plant or animal.
Ooh. And then what does that tell you?
And just, sort of like begin to think about, and when I ask them several things, who takes care of the plant? What does the plant or animal need? So
Hmm.
sometimes it's a flower or a dog. And just to really start thinking, a lot of times this helps them reflect on themselves, like, well, what do I need and who takes care of me?
Oh,
And
yeah.
what does this animal or plant wish they had more of? How can that animal or plant get more of what they need?
Hmm.
And just really invite them into this idea that we can notice what we need. We can notice how we might get those needs met. We might notice that some things might have to wait.
Hmm.
Um, my daughter really wants to hug her friends right now, and she can't.
Oh,
I know it's
yeah.
super sad. And
Hmm.
so she and I will hug while she looks at a friend.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah.
And clients who have expressed like, oh, I just want to hug my friends, we
Mhm.
hug each other through the computer, which actually feels better than we would expect it to feel. We're not
That's
used to hugging
great.
a computer.
Mhm.
So we'll do things like that. Some of the other things we've done is um, I have one who likes to make up a dance.
Okay, that's great.
Dance, and she'll say a word that goes with it. Oftentimes they're feeling words, sometimes they're worries. It kind of depends what she shows up with in the
Mhm.
session.
Mhm.
So, at the beginning, there was a lot of talk about coronavirus and getting sick.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
so, what can you do to stay safe? And so, um, she would come up with dances like, I'm going to move away from it. It was very like cute but funny. You could see
Mhm.
she was really leaning on her strengths. She was using humor. She was using power. Um, she was, shutting the door with these dance moves, which
Oh,
was
that's
great.
great.
So,
Mhm.
it's really about, what is your client interested in? Do they like art? And how can we get them to process things through art?
Mhm.
Do they like dance? Do they like music? We do sometimes use books, which I mentioned. Um, Sometimes they just want me to read a book, and that's okay.
Oh, that's a nice idea.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And so we have several. Listening Rabbit is a great book with little kids because it's really about how can we just listen to people's upset
Mhm.
and sadness. It's a great book to read when parents are around too,
Mhm.
because how can we help them just be okay with all the emotions that are coming up for our kids, which are usually even more intense right now.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, and it's more intense for all of us. So how can we
Mhm.
all be a little more gentle with ourselves?
Mhm.
Um, I teach them some stress release. So one of my favorite ones, which is really kind of silly, is just to shake. And so, like I'll take my glasses off. This is really silly, but
Oh,
we all
go for it.
it feels really good.
Yeah.
Like you just have to shake it all, and you just you shake your whole body, and you just let your cheeks go all the way
Uh-huh.
down, and I'll stand up, and we'll shake all together.
Yeah.
And it is such a stress relief. You can see them, they're laughing, they're shaking. Um, and then when their attention wanes, which it
Yeah.
will,
Uh-huh.
I just remind myself, like, this is a part of it. We
Yeah.
can't control it. My
Yeah.
job is to focus on regulating myself over and over
Yeah.
and letting go of control, because that's how they're going to be most invited back into the session.
Oh, I think that is so appropriate for adults as well, because I think a lot of therapists are becoming dysregulated over doing telemental health. And I think
Mhm.
they think that it's the clients not like, I mean, they also know they don't like it, but I think they're also losing their clients when they're getting dysregulated. I think that's
Yeah.
such a great piece of information.
Yeah.
And lack of control, because we can't control, like, if the person's microphone isn't working right, or they're running away, or they're showing us their ceiling instead of their face, and you just like want to get them back on the screen.
Yeah. Well, and the kids will run around with their screen, and you're like, "You're
Yeah.
obnoxious about this." And I'll say things like, "Oh, you're running around. I'm just gonna close my eyes for a little bit until my screen looks less crazy," and just speak out loud what I have to do for myself,
Yeah,
you know?
that's great.
Yeah, and it's just a remembrance that all of this is modeling. It's
Hmm.
modeling how we set limits for ourselves, how we support ourselves, how
Hmm.
we invite connection and cooperation, um, and then just asking them like, what would you ideally like to be doing right now?
Hmm.
You can play games if your kids like to play games. You can still play checkers, you can still play Jenga, you can still play all these things that allow especially older kids to relax so that they can have conversations with you.
Yes. Hmm.
Um,
Hmm. That dual awareness.
yes,
Hmm.
yes.
So how do
Uh,
you play checkers if it's flat? Like, tell me how you
yeah,
do that.
So I usually just put the board out, and wherever they move, I move it on my board, and they
Oh,
move.
so you just ask them where they moved it? Yeah.
There are some online gaming sites that you can use, but
Hmm.
there's privacy issues and there's
That's true.
glitches, and
Hmm. Hmm.
so we just figure it out. We laugh. Some of it is just the process of figuring out together. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know everything and I can't solve everything, and they like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Hmm. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you do such an awesome job just modeling, taking risks and getting in there and being creative and winging it. And I love that. And and I think we all have to do that right now,
Mhm.
you know?
They do.
Mhm. We just have to figure it out and keep going.
Right. And what an opportunity for them to see that it's okay to make mistakes. Look,
Mhm.
my therapist just totally blew it and didn't make that work out at all.
Yes, I do know that experience. It's way too well that like, "Oh, you've done things like that before too?" Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, Amy, this was so helpful. I needed to keep it a little short just so we get people to watch it because these days our attention span isn't as long as we'd like it to be. So, but I would love for you to come back and teach a longer workshop for us. So, if
I
you
would love
agree
that.
out there, people watching this, put it in your comment section. Let's get Amy back for a CEU workshop.
I would love
And
to do that. There's so many fun things to talk about.
yay! And is there any closing statements you want to make or anything?
I just be kind to yourselves. Be willing to take chances.
Mm,
You're modeling all the things that we're trying to help them with through therapy anyway. And your relationship is really, you are the change agent. So
oh,
we gotta lean in and trust that.
that's beautiful. You know what else I want to say to the people watching is that if you want to learn more about Amy, her website, her email address, and her phone number will be in the bio section. So feel free to contact her. I'm also trying to get her to do a consultation group for other therapists that are struggling working with kids over TeleMental Health. So I'll put that little idea out there if you want to talk her into it as well. I'm just trying to get people to do whatever they can to make the most of their sessions right now and keep everybody safe.
Yeah, thank you so much, Becky.
Thank you, Amy.